Okay, for the sake of today's lesson, I want you guys to pretend that you're a group of instructors at NTI and you're really kind. Okay. No, seriously, all of us in here are instructors, and I think something that we have in common, but I'll phrase it as a question: who in here would like to be more effective in their classroom? All of us. So we're going to show you some ways today that you can do that. Mike's got some ideas he's going to take off with here.
This thing's not turning on.
Flip this little switch on the side. There you go.
All right, so we're going to talk about supplementing and enhancing your curriculum using outside resources. How many times have you guys come up onto something, piece of your curriculum or your study that you would like to put on a hands-on format, you know, where you could actually demonstrate it versus just reading it out of the book? Or even certain curriculum that doesn't cover it in our NJATC books that you want to be able to demonstrate. But we're going to show you how you can do this by using outside resources. The first thing is determine, do you need this additional resources? I mean, are there holes in your curriculum? Are there holes that you need to improve? So labs are needed to demonstrate a practical application. So there again, like if you're doing theory, sometimes you're just wanting to build a lab for it. The actual tools to perform the labs. So whether you just need classroom hand tools, instruments for like instrumentation labs, anything for demonstration. Ladder companies will bring in ladders for you, you know, for your ladder safety. Just any actual materials that you need to be able to teach this lesson. And then along with that, you'll get an expert, you know, with firsthand experiences or knowledge. They're a subject expert, you know, on that area. So they'll be able to give you, you know, a little bit more in depth and firsthand knowledge versus just reading it out of the book. As well as guest speakers. This is something that I've used quite a bit. I know you, Tom, you've talked about the OSHA 10, how dry it is and how boring it is. It's like that for the apprentices too. I mean, it's hard to keep them interacting, you know, and involved. One thing that I've done out there in my area is I've got a really good relationship with an OSHA inspector. She also does training, and so then what I've done is reached out to her and you know, explained to her what we're doing, you know, in the apprenticeship. She's now familiar with the apprenticeship program. And she'll come out and actually teach our 2-hour intro for us. What this does is it creates a relationship between the inspectors and the apprentices. And so then that way when the apprentices see an inspector show up out there on the job site, they're not as scared of them. You know, they know that they're there to help them. It kind of creates that relationship with them. So they're like, oh yeah, you know, and you know, they're familiar with her. One thing that she will do, and I mean every area is going to be different of what they're going to be able to do for you, but she'll come up and she'll say, this is how I'm going to approach you, you know, when I come onto a job site. We're here to inspect such and such, and we need to go see it. A lot of times the apprentices, you know, are intimidated and scared, and so they're like, okay, you know, and they take them right over there. She'll tell them, you know, you have the right to go grab somebody else. You have the right to wait at least a half hour before you take me out there on the job site. So little things like that you hear firsthand from an inspector versus, you know, just reading it out of the book goes a long ways. And then also she'll tell you certain things that she's looking for as far as safety hazards and different things, how they interact with you when they come out. So I think it kind of helps out there with reaching out to guest speakers. what we're doing here is just trying to open your guys' mind to do your research in your areas and go and see what's out there to help you with your curriculum. It's going to help you, help the apprentices, and ultimately everybody's learns from it. Another thing, NFPA 70E, that's another dry subject you spend a lot of time on. I reached out to a vendor, it's Bulwark. I wasn't able to get a Salisbury to respond, but when we covered materials, the difference between like flame resistant, flame retardant, the self-extinguishing materials, how the materials are woven to achieve that. These guys will actually come out and give you a first-hand demonstration on it of how they react under the flame. And so we took a weed burner, he brought out the different materials, and we lit them on fire to show the apprentices how it reacts to it. So we're like the flame resistant. It'll light on fire as long as the source is there, but once the source goes out, then it'll dissipate or it doesn't stay burning. Versus the flame, retardant, and where it keeps burning, and they go into detail of how the fabric's woven, the material care of how you take care of your stuff. I think stuff like that is just, it goes a lot further when they hear it firsthand from an actual manufacturer versus, like I said, just reading it out of your book.
Mike, are there any issues with those people not being union-based instructors or anything like that?
They're not a platinum sponsor, but it's not saying that they can't be in the future. I always present that to them when I reach out to them if it's somebody that's not one of our sponsors. A lot of times, they're already familiar with our apprenticeship. And so they're just looking for a way to get in. And that's something that I always throw out to them too. It's like get in contact and see if they can. And it also opens the door of getting us some more platinum sponsors into the program. Sometimes they just need to find that way in. Rigging and lifting. I have a friend that's a crane operator out of one of our locals out there, and he was able to set it up with me in their yard. What we do is we go over there for 6 hours. He teaches the rigging, and then he also goes through the crane signaling. And with that, they're learning it firsthand. They're hearing it from an expert versus electrical instructor up there going through the book and saying this is your signaling, this is your your rigging, your load rates and stuff. But they'll go through all that, and then we actually go out into the field or out into their yard. They got a crane set up there. We got some discs set up around the crane, and they'll have each apprentice go over there and it's like, okay, we want you to drop that ball over in this spot. We want you to drop it over here using all your signaling that you've learned. This crane operator, he's just going to go out there and do exactly what they're being instructed to. So if you're giving them wrong signals, he's going to put it where you're telling them. If you're giving them bogus signals, he's just going to sit there and stare at you. You know what I mean? It got the apprentices out of their comfort zone. First they're just like, holy cow, that was scary. But it's better for them to learn with somebody like that versus out in the field where you got a load suspended there. And afterwards they came back and they're like, that was the best instruction that we've had. Before, when we heard, before I reached out to these guys, that's what I was being told is that it was just kind of dry material there with our rigging and signaling. So I was, reaching out to see what can we do to beef this up, what can we make this do to make this more exciting. So, like I said, we're just trying to open your guys' minds, to see, evaluate what subjects you're teaching, what you can do to improve it, and then follow through with it.
Did you agree with them when they said that?
When they say what?
That it's boring or dry?
It is a lot of times because you got an electrician that's teaching stuff that's out of our subject expertise. And so we're going through the curriculum, and we could do some of the demonstrations ourselves like on that, but when you got somebody that's an expert and then, does it day to day, that's huge, especially when you're creating those relationships too. This guy's an actual operator out there in the field. And so, in the future, they feel comfortable now. They're like, this guy's taught me the signaling, I could go out there and work with him. And I know when I was out there in the field, I was always the signaling guy because nobody else wanted to. They're
So-
just like, you know, I don't know how to do it. And it's like, well, here's the chart. Do you guys understand how to do it? Well, yeah, but I've never actually done it. And it's like, well, here's your chance. And they're just like, you know, they're always scared.
So as far as getting them there, do you guys pay them out of the JTC fund, or do they basically volunteer their time and equipment to come?
What you're gonna find is a lot of volunteers. These people want to be a part of apprenticeships because if you know, like Mike was saying, if you can introduce them at that level, then the rest of your career, there's an individual that's gonna refer back to that person, that vendor, that supplier. You know, you became comfortable with them, so it's a great place for them to get in. So what you'll find most of the time is that they'll just at no cost come and show up.
Yeah, these vendors and suppliers, I mean, they're realizing, once they learn how the apprenticeship works, they're realizing that the apprentices are the future. I mean, these guys are right on the baseline, you know, they're, you know, going through the program. If they can nab them right at the beginning, they're gonna wanna use them throughout the apprenticeship, you know, as much as they can, or suggest it to their, you know, their journeyman or the foreman, whoever's running the job. You know, and then in turn, by the time they're out there running jobs, they're gonna be like, okay, I'm familiar with, you know, Emerson or Delta V or certain brands, and they're gonna wanna use it, and then that's what they're gonna be ordering on their jobs. And so they figure if they grab them at the beginning, you know, they've got a electrician for life. And I mean, that's how confident these guys are with their products and materials, so you're seeing that more and more.
Have either of you managed to get Hilti to come to your apprenticeship?
I have not reached out to them.
I've tried and they want us to pay them, or they don't even answer my phone calls. And I'd really like my guys to get certified on Hilti tools,
Yeah.
but they don't even want to answer my
Like
phone.
the actuated gun?
Yeah.
Milwaukee
That's
was
free.
very cooperative when I reached out to them.
To job sites, so.
See, but even,
Contractors are all getting Milwaukee instead of Hilti nowadays.
yeah.
They all, the bigger the market.
Even then, I mean, find out what they cost. Like I told the crane operators, I'm like, I don't expect you guys to do this for free. I don't want you to do it for free. Give me a cost. And the guy's like, no. He goes, we'll do this for you. You know, this is what we want to do. They're another, you know, they're the operators union. So, I mean, they're just like, we want to help you guys out and figure if we give you guys this training when we're out there in the field and we're, you know, rigging your equipment, at least now you're going to be familiar with it. It's not like you're just going to stand back, let us do it, and, you know, and then we're having to retrain you out there, so.
Ideally, the first step is face-to-face. That's your best case. If that doesn't work, then you want to call them on the phone. If they don't respond on the phone, because that's more personal, then you go to an email, because an email is traceable. And there's a date stamp there when you reached out to this person, and maybe that's a corporate email, and somebody else is gonna, you know, see that, read that, or something, and if they didn't respond to you, then there's a little bit of accountability there now, so.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's different things on the guest speakers. Had Little Giant come out. They donated some Little Giant ladders. Yeah, they're there to, you know, throw out their products, you know, they're gonna sell it. But he spent 2 hours of ladder safety on that. I implemented that in with our OSHA 10 training, because you gotta have the ladder safety. And, you know, in turn, these apprentices are getting to see the new upcoming technology, the lightweight of the, you know, the new ladders, how easy it is to carry around. It's not like one of these big bulky heavy ladders that they used to be when they first came out. And Little Giant's happy because of, well, these guys are actually seeing our product, and, you know, the apprentices are happy because of, you know, they're learning it from a subject expert, you know, instructor, so. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna teach you what you need to do prior to contacting these resources. You gotta be well organized and very confident in what you do. If you don't, they're, like, if you just call them up and just say, yeah, what do you guys have? They're gonna be like, well, what do you want?
Stickers.
Yeah, they're gonna send you out some posters or something, you know, something, they're like, oh yeah, we wanna get out there, we'll send you some posters to hang in your JTC. So the first thing is to do is, whatever subject you guys are teaching, find out, go through, do a thorough review, find out what it's lacking, really go into depth on it, and collaborate with some other people, maybe even apprentices. I mean, we always throw that up to our apprentices. It's like, what would help us teach this, you know, better to you? You know, would a hands-on lab work for you guys, or, you know, if we brought in somebody else? one thing that's nice too is, I mean, they're used to hearing your voice all the time. And so if you bring in somebody else, it kind of changes things up and they give them their full attention. Let alone, I always put the fear of God into them too. It's like, you guys give these guys your, full respect and attention. I was going to remove you from class, but I mean, I think just the change up, it's nice for the apprentices too, have somebody else in there coming in there to teach. So do a thorough review, find out exactly what you're lacking. And then from that, determine what's going to help this. What can I put in there to help this, this subject? Make it either more exciting, enhance it, or, supplement it even. And then ultimately determine how would you, if you were able to get this equipment, how are you going to put that in your lesson plan? Because it's going to change up your whole curriculum. If you've got a lesson plan that you're teaching instrumentation, and you're wanting to go out there and teach them how to calibrate an instrument, where are you going to put that into the curriculum? So find out where you're going to put that in. We reached out to Fluke. We'll go over this later in the slideshow, but they have a lot of offers for some of their meters. We were able to get 5 of their meters. If you buy a pressure module, you get the meter for free. It's about a $5,000, $6,000 meter. And so from there, we've set up some instrumentation labs where we do bench calibrations on instruments. And we've actually turned this into a continuing ed class too, because if we've thrown it out to the apprentices, word got out there on the job sites, and we have journeymen calling up. They're like, we want to do that training, how can we do it? And so we set up a continuing ed, and I mean, that's one of our most popular classes now. Every time we throw out a instrumentation continuing ed, I mean, it's filled like right off the bat. But little things like that you could throw out there to, to enhance your program. And then from there, once you determine what you need, then figure out who's going to help you. Just kind of brainstorm and be like, whether it be a guest speaker or somebody who can offer some materials. Feel free to reach out to multiple vendors. And then what you're going to want to do is when you contact these vendors, you've got to be specific, saying, I need some instruments. Right now I'm in works with Yokogawa. They're looking to donate some instruments for our instrumentation lab. I told them how we've already got our process meters and how we're doing the calibrations. And the first thing he says is, we would love to get our instruments there. We want them learning on our stuff. Because if they're learning on their stuff, they're going to be more likely to use that when they get out there in the field and they're doing their ordering. So it just blows me away of how much stuff is out there. You just got to ask. And I think a lot of the programs, and that's the nice thing about NTI, is we could all talk to each other and we find out what each one of our individual JTCs are doing and what they're able to get. And there's some that I've talked to out there, and that's what kind of sparked this, is they're just like, we never ask, but they never give us anything. It's like, well, you got to be able to ask, to be able to get it. But what they're going to want to know is, how you're going to use it, and then throw in a plug, say, we're going to have this in this classroom. We've got a membership of, 1,700. We've got over 500 apprentices. The apprentices are going to see it, every couple of weeks. Our full membership, our journeymen are going to see it.
I wonder if any of this could be talked about at the trade show with some of these people who are there.
Yeah, and
that's a great time to network with them.
And that's what these trade shows are for, or at least I hope you realize they're for. I mean, we've brought out 4 instructors this year, and I've told every one of them, go out there and make the contacts, but I didn't want them arranging anything, just because I didn't want redundant, and be like, oh yeah, we already talked to somebody from Salt Lake. And then I went around and talked to them, and I mean, there's a couple of them that, they already talked to, but they're like, oh yeah, I wanted to get your card, we want to get involved. And so, I mean, don't hammer them over and over, with multiple people, but I mean, I tell my instructors, anytime you're out there in a situation where you could, ask for stuff, do it, and so I don't know if you guys got that full reign or your directors are letting you do it.
That totally reminded me, have you guys or anybody else in here talked to Southwire about coming to your apprenticeship?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, so they're coming and doing that pipe pull or wire pull and giving you the tugger?
Yep.
Yeah, in fact, I'll be covering that in here too.
Sorry?
Oh, you're good. But I mean, I think that's what kind of seals it. Like if you're just saying, yeah, I've got a classroom of 5 guys or 10 guys, they might be like, you know. But I mean, and every JTC is going to be different. Everybody's going to have different needs. So determine what your needs are, and then, you know, let that vendor know what you can do for them. So I mean, that's not required, but it's always a good thing. They're always more prone to give you stuff if you know, definitely let them know what you need. And then a good thing, you know, courteous, you know, follow up with them. Take pictures of your lab. Like if you created an instrumentation lab, you know, follow up with them. Say, you know, I just want to say thank you for, you know, donating this stuff. It's very generous of you. Apprentices love them. Give them feedback. Say, you know, our apprentices just are eating this stuff up. We've expanded it from when you started giving us such and such material to now this. And
Send an email and copy their supervisor.
and I mean, they love it. They're just like, holy cow, that's great, you know, that's good. And then when you go to ask them for more stuff, I mean, they're going to be more willing to, you know, help you out. And I mean, you start creating these relationships with these vendors. I mean, it's huge. I mean, that's the reason why they're platinum partners with us. Do you have a question, Tom?
No.
These are some examples that I've had some experience with. Erico, CAD Weld. We talked about exothermic weld a little bit in our curriculum, but not a whole lot. And so I reached out to CAD Weld, and they donated everything that we need to do a CAD Weld lab. What we do is we certify them on the electronic shots as well as the powder shots. And they give us this cool little lab. They take a can opener and they cut it in half, and then you exothermic, you know, through exothermic welding, you will weld in a piece of wire. You know, and so they got to demonstrate both the electronic shot and the powder shot, and then they actually get a certification, which the contractors love. I mean, anytime you could give the apprentices a certification, I mean, that's one less thing that they have to do. I mean, right now they're not requiring it in Salt Lake, but like in Idaho, I heard that they were. There are certain jobs that they might start requiring a certification for CAD Weld. But it's amazing how many of these apprentices don't get that experience out in the field. And you know, it depends on what phase you're at in the job or what job you go out to. I'm finding more and more aren't getting that experience, and so they come in and they're just loving it. And I mean, they just eat it up. And it's, like I said, what better way to do it than to do it hands-on versus just reading it out of the book. But I mean, they give us the molds, the shots, the wire, the can openers, everything you need to perform this lab, and they're there on standby to support us. In fact, I talked to him at the trade show, you know, thanking him again for all the stuff he sent us out. And he's like, you know what? He goes, anything you need. He goes, let me know. He goes, even if you're wanting to build up stock, you know, in your if you got room there, he goes, I'll send you out stuff that you could put on there, and if you wanted to offer it to your journeyman as well. So, I mean, it goes a long ways. Southwire, like you're saying, they'll give you that 6K tugger, the slick pull rope, supply you with the wire, these nice jack stands. They'll give you all that for free. All you got to do is just set up a 3-inch conduit run. It's got to be at least 390s in it.
6.
What's that?
6.
Oh, they told us 3, so
Really?
we got
You did
we got
6.
3 in ours. But
Bastards.
you know, and I mean, once you get all that, I mean, of course, you want to get it all pre-approved through them. You know, let them know and see if you're eligible, because I think they're picking certain locals. But if that's something that you guys could do, reach out to them. We have a wire pulling lab, so we'll have them walk through setting up the Maxxis tugger, using the slick pull rope, showing them how much easier that is than the old conventional ropes. And then they set up the wire pull, putting on making up a head, you know, on the wire pull, and I mean, that's all free of charge. Same thing with this table bender. You know, we told him how we were doing conduit labs, and Doyle, he's actually the inventor of that, and he's just like, I want to get my table bender out there. Do you guys have room for that? Like, you bet we do. And so
Free. And they'll give you this right now. All you gotta do is ask.
yeah, it's all free. You know, and I think that table bender is like $2,500. So, and I mean, once you start adding all this stuff up, it's crazy.
Are we okay on time?
They actually give you some calculations too, that you could do pulling tensions, radius tensions, different ways of calculating, which at least I know in our curriculum, we didn't really cover that. until we actually got this material from Southwire. Also, this is something that I just started barely setting up about 2 weeks ago. The low voltage. Our low voltage is really lacking on a lot of stuff. I don't know if you guys had a chance to go meet Ross over there, Southwire. He's willing to come out and teach any subject matter that we want to teach. You know, it's CCTV, card access, premises cabling, anything like that. He said he'll come out and do a presentation and teach, you know, for an hour and a half to 2 hours, whatever we want. So that was something that I've done up with him, but right before I came out here, I talked to another contact that I have, and they're giving us the full line of the Southwire tools for all the low voltage. They said, we want to get our tools out there. They're wanting, Southwire's so proud of their tools. They want to get their tools out there in these apprentices' hands. They're willing to do this and give them to you. Hand tools. I told them flat out, we've got classroom tool sets in each one of our classrooms that, with how we're growing right now in our apprenticeship, we went from 20 tool kits to 10, or 10 additional up to 30. And so I reached out to all the tool manufacturers and says, we want some tools. And I told them how we're gonna have, you know, I always use Klein as like as a little bargaining tool, but you know, Klein says, yeah, we'll donate all those tools. Milwaukee's always right there behind them, saying, yeah, we want to put our stuff
each
in.
other in a tactful way.
Well, when I went out and talked to Southwire, I actually went out there and toured their facility out there in Georgia last year. When they were walking me through the tools, I told him what we had set up, and he's like, we want to be in there too. They're like, you got room for our tools? And I'm like, you bet we do. You know, whether you want to make up your own tool sets, or if you want to just say, if there's something that you're pretty proud of, like your linemen's, if you want to put them up against any of these other ones, you know, we'll throw them in there. And the way I present it is saying, we've got all these hands-on labs. I tell them what labs we're doing, what tools we're using, and I'll say, we've got Klein in there in Milwaukee, and they're like, we're better than them. You know, we want to get our tools in there. And that gives the apprentice the opportunity to use whatever tool they want.
I just picked up the phone about a month ago and I called Milwaukee, and I didn't know anyone there, didn't have any prior communication. And I got somebody on the phone and said, you know, I've got a class for their first year, they don't have a lot of tools, but we're gonna do some hands-on labs. And the guy said, well, how many are in the class? I said 12, and he sent me 12 sets of these right here, along with some little 12-volt impact guns, just for making a phone call. That was it.
And I don't know if you saw what Ideal's doing right now with that national championship. That's the same idea. They're wanting to get those tools in those apprentices' hands, and in turn, they're also bringing in tools for our toolkits. I haven't got them yet, you know, but they said we want to get all of our tools in there as well. So, you know, I mean, all this stuff to help your JATC.
Okay, well, Mike actually mentioned this earlier, trade sponsor. Here, I'm gonna be over here shortly, so. This is a Fluke pressure transmitter, or pressure module, and this is about a $1,500 unit if you were to buy this anywhere but in JATC world. What Fluke will do is take 25% off of that, knock it down to $1,200. Well, that's okay, but that's nothing to get excited about. If you call now, they'll throw this in. This guy right here is $7,000. This is a HART communicator. I don't know if you guys use these in your instrumentation, but this is a really nice unit, and it's free. So you spend $1,200 and you're getting $8,500 worth of. And this isn't something you have to bargain for. You just call and tell them you're an apprenticeship, you want to do this deal. They know what you're talking about. I've got flyers for that, and you can do it all day long.
Yeah, our JATC, we actually done 5 of those. So we got 5 pressure modules. We already had 2 existing, so now we're up to 7. And that's what we based our instrumentation lab on. And so from there, we got the pressure module, we got the meter, and then, you know, I didn't have enough time to, you know, reach out to get any instruments there, but I bought some Rosemount pressure transmitters, and that's what we done it off of. But I mean,
so it's not
right now,
some
I'm talking
cheesy
to Delta Dollar to
10%
do
off
that.
kind of deal. This is, there's some extreme discounts out there. Another one of the platinum partners with the NJATC is this ATP Learning. You've probably seen this logo before. A lot of our textbooks, these guys, a handful of the textbooks these guys produce, but they have other books out there that are not part of the curriculum. And so they are more than willing to share what they have. They'll send you sample copies, and I'm actually going to show you a demonstration here of something that they're just now, some newer technology that they've developed. I've got Mike's cell phone here. I'm going to switch over.
Yeah, and ATP, I talked to them, they're gonna be sending us out because we're wanting to implement welding into our curriculum. They're sending me out a welding textbook, workbook, and then the instrumentation workbook and textbook as well. I don't
It's
also
like your
figure.
Last Supper. Okay, so there's nothing special about the phone here. We're just running the app for the ATP.
Where's the special time?
It's gonna use the camera on the phone, and the idea is that you would get this book, and the one that I'm gonna show is their motor drives, electric motor drives. This is the cover of the textbook. I just made a photocopy of it. But if you notice up in the right-hand corner here, there's this little logo, and that tells the student that there's augmented reality on this page here. So what that means is, if you haven't seen this before, if I just take the phone and look at this, it recognized that, and now it's asking me, okay, what type of motor drive are we wanting to see? I'm going to choose Allen Bradley. I'm more familiar with that one. And here,
Seriously?
Technology's cool, man.
That's off the charts, man.
so now you can see, instead of having to buy 15 of these to show all the students, if you just want to introduce them to it, and I can actually touch my screen and manipulate this now. So I can move it around at the bottom of it. And if I get closer, I can go in and look at
This is a free app on your phone, so.
this is free. And we're going to share this with you. And ATP would love to, for you guys to get some of these books in your apprenticeship. So, and this, having a wow factor, this is an ace in the hole with the apprentices.
Yep.
You've got their attention when you pull this up on the screen. And they're going to have it on their phones. And so now they're excited about getting their books out and doing some work because of this content. So I'll just show you real quick. I can open the cover up here. Of course, there's where I would connect my control wiring. I open this here. There's my
That's sick,
voltage wiring. So you can
Wow.
spin it around and look at all sides.
There again, something to enhance your curriculum that you got right now, just to catch the apprentices' attention and, keep them entertained, while you're teaching them. I mean, what better way to do it with technology? That just grabs their attention.
Yeah. So I'll show you another one just real quick. I'm gonna do it different. They're the same, augmented reality again. This is for the HVAC. What? Yeah. I'm going to tell, again, this is ATP. I'm going to tell it I have a print textbook. So now it's back to just the regular phone again. And this time we're going to look at some like HVAC stuff. I'll start with, this is just a page out of the textbook. Again, nothing special about the paper. It's just a photocopy I made of the book. But if you see, there's that little logo again. So when the apprentice sees that, they know, hey, if I get out my phone, there's some additional content on this page. So when I look at this,
I think in your motors book, ATP supplements a lot of stuff in there, and so you'll see that logo a lot on this stuff.
yeah, so here, this is the boiler. I can zoom in and look at it. And if I get close enough, it'll start to cut away so you can see the inside of things. Let's see if I can get up in there. This next one will reveal.
Where things moving kind of spooks me out a little bit. But
Okay, so here's another one. This, if you look, we're going to be reading about chillers. I get out my phone, hey, here's a chiller.
So this ATP company has this type of.
They've got these out now.
Yeah, and that's actually entering
Now-
NJATC curriculum. It's just they've never
This is
explained it.
very cutting edge. There is no non-union curriculum out there that has this. This is us leading the forefront. So, if I want to see inside what's going on inside this chiller, I can tap, pull the cover off.
now, a while ago, when John was teaching about transformers, if there was a book that had something you could have scanned and it showed that transformer, man, boy, that would have really been perfect right there, wouldn't it, John?
Yeah, it's unreal. You're gonna share with us.
See what
Yeah,
you
so
learn when
I'll
you come to
share this
NTI,
with you.
boys?
I'm sorry?
See what you learn when you come to NTI?
So, we'll switch back over.
We learned that and that's.
And we'll share.
Right, heavily, okay.
Both freaking heavy.
Where'd I lay the clicker down here? So yeah, we'll share that with you. And actually, if you go to this, I created this web address here. This is just a shorter version. This will link you over to that, and then you can kind of,
We could get you copies of that, so if you don't, I mean, we can put it in that Dropbox, so you don't have to worry about writing.
If anybody
stuff down,
uses
the whole
QR
slideshow.
codes, if you scan this, this will take you to this web address. So. Okay, so this is what you're going to be able to do, and I passed out some worksheets, and I don't know how we're doing on time, but what I was hoping to be able to do is actually, what is it?
Just keep going.
Okay. What I want to do is just work you through this. You know, it's one thing to talk about this, but if you guys are up for it, I was actually going to just make a call in here right now, put somebody on speakerphone, reach out.
Show you how easy it is.
So I'm entering my phone up here.
Yeah, this is just something.
Oh,
Right
here
in
it
your
is.
pocket.
Here it
You're
is.
thinking outside the box, you know, of, okay, we're doing an instructional for instructors. Why not do it something to benefit everybody?
Is this a cold call?
This is a cold call. So, you know, and this is, I'm way out of my comfort zone when I do this. You know, double. Now I'm up here talking to you, and I'm gonna make a call here. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna call Toppy Coleman, who works for Fluke, if any of you know her.
And one thing that
I'm gonna
it's
immediately
also,
let her know that she's on speakerphone, so.
one thing that's nice about when you contact these people, don't compare like JTCs, like one JTC might get this, another one might get something different. Depends on the regional reps, you know, or whoever's in that area. So don't ever, you know, be like, this is all we got. I mean, be appreciative of anything that they give you. And I mean, that goes a long ways. I've heard of people that are just like, yeah, all they gave us was this. And I mean, you want to be respectful to them and just, you know, like I said, don't compare. You can refer, you know, say that you've talked to, you know, myself or Tom, and know that they've helped us out in our JTC. You know, this is something that we're looking to set up. Would you be able to help us out? You know.
Okay, so I'm gonna try this, and she's not expecting my call, so I have no idea if I'm gonna get a voicemail or what's going on. So let's see what happens.
That's like San Leandro. I went out there in Milwaukee. It's all over the place.
My phone a friend here.
But they don't do that much for us. But it's like I'm happy for what they can give us. So
Don't answer. Yeah,
You call her at lunchtime? Why didn't you call?
she should be done eating right now.
and if you guys are looking for contacts, you know, come and let us know. I've got some good contacts with Southwire.
When you finish recording, hang up or press the pound key for more options.
Hi, Toffee. This is Tom Samples from the Charleston, West Virginia apprenticeship. I met you the other day at the NTI trade show, and I was interested in getting some of the hard communicator testers for our apprenticeship. We're trying to set up an instrumentation lab there, so I was hoping maybe we could get you know, half a dozen of those sent out to us. So if you could, give me a call at 304-347 3693. Thanks.
And I mean, sometimes they might not be able to donate it, but they might be able to loan it to you. You know, they might be able to, you know, give you a kit where you could borrow it. And I mean, that always goes a long ways as well.
Okay, so let's do this now real quick. The worksheet that I handed out to you, I really want you guys to do this, because it's really, you know, at least one of these. Just that top line, if you haven't done it already, just kind of brainstorm there. Think about something that you're going to teach. I mean, we've heard about half of you now, so I have an idea of what you're going to teach. I'm going to come around and look at what you've got, and if you have any questions or if you need help with an idea, you know, Mike or I can kind of nudge you, because we've been, you know, both of us are kind of new to this, but we've had some success with it too. So I just kind of like to see what your ideas are, and then the next thing, I'm going to turn you into a resource that you already have. You've got a book. Everybody got one. Your NTI book. If you flip, I can put a couple of these up here. If you flip these open to about the middle of the book, this is an excellent resource because it's already got the platinum partners in there. And I'll just show you here about where it's at. About midways in the book there, you'll see the exhibit directory. Just go down. Here's your contacts. There's phone numbers there. There's a web address as well as the email address. So that's a great place to get started. Just go through here and like I say, these are salespeople, a lot of them that you're going to be talking to, so they don't mind the cold call. You know, they love talking on the phone. So, does anybody feel like they need any help or
Any questions
got writer's
or
block
any
on that?
confusion on?
What it is we're looking for there? And then what I would do here is probably, I'd like to work with you on the first one, but then just kind of, proof of concept to show that you could do this. I'd have you do the second one on your own, just make a cold call. And it is, you're stepping outside of your comfort zone, but that's where learning happens, that's where we grow, so.
Would you typically contact your local rep?
Sometimes even just
They'll,
start with
they'll
our
know
dry
each
house.
other. If you call them and just say, hey, I live in, Oregon or Florida, they'll put you in touch. They know each other's where their boundaries are, so they're pretty good about directing you then.
And on what you were saying about ideal, I was at the trade show and they're sending me a bunch of stuff. I picked up some, they didn't have enough stuff up on their bubble cards. They send me a bunch of.
Have you guys had the truck come out where they do the body drop? It's the harness company, I can't think of the company name.
The fall protection Sala, TBI.
So they come out and they do the body drop and all that stuff, and they give a class for that 2 hours or whatever.
Perfect example, and I mean, that's all free. That's all free, but.
It's just, for us, it's hard to schedule people like that to come out on, from 5 to 8. Like,
Yeah,
that was
with
really
evening
hard.
classes, it will be,
I had them come out and, if you try and get them on Saturdays, a lot of times they're at trade shows showing that stuff. So you basically gotta have it lined up like a year in advance.
and I mean, if you guys don't know who to call for a manufacturer, go through your local supply house. Great Bar is a good resource. They put me in contact where we've got vendors and stuff. I mean, if you don't know who to call, just say who's our local regional rep, or who's our area rep out here that I could talk to. They're like, well, what do you need? And we told them, and I mean, on that one, I needed some hand benders, so they said, you buy half, we'll buy the other half, so I bought 4, they gave us 4 for free. So, I mean, and as you guys know, with the JTCs, you got a budget there, and it's hard to get that money. So, when I came in as assistant, I was looking at things that we could do to better our JTC and not break the bank. And so, I mean, this is something that I've kind of just hit the ground running and had some huge success with it.
Well, you were saying with Milwaukee, if you haven't already, call Milwaukee. They've given us pretty much every cordless power tool they make. We have 2 tool cribs. We have one right now, and then they're giving us another one for a building we built. Everything. They don't care. Tape measures, hand tools, but power tools.
Yeah, like a month ago, they just sent me a bunch of stuff, and Greenlee did the same. We had just gotten some stuff from Klein. And it really is just, I mean, you should know by now, I'm not a polished speaker. I just pick up the phone and I ask for it, and I fumble around, and I probably sound goofy, but I got the stuff, and now it's in the hands of the apprentices, so you gotta try. So in summary, this is the key really to getting the ball rolling, is know what you want. Like Mike said, you have to be specific. You can't just call them up and say, hey, send me something, or you're gonna get a t-shirt or a poster or something that you really can't use. Know who has it, so that's the next step then. Go out and do your homework, get online, go through the textbook there that we've got from NDI, figure out who has it, and then pick up the phone, make the call. It's worth reaching out. Your apprentices will receive the benefit of your efforts. And anything, I teach 9-hour days, so anything at all, whether it's bringing in, the experts to speak or just having some tools to get their hands on, anything we can do to, kind of enhance that experience for the apprentices, it has a positive effect. So this is, if you guys are interested, this link will take you to this slideshow.
We'll also put it in the Dropbox too, so I mean, you guys will have access. But I feel comfortable. I mean, if any of you guys, want my card, I can give you my card if you guys want to follow up. If you're curious about a certain vendor, what experience I've had. One tip I'd like to throw out too is be patient, because I mean, they're not going to send it to you overnight. I mean, give them some time. It's some things have evolved over like 9 months to almost a year, but I mean, it just depends on the vendor. When you're catching them, what you're asking for, it might not happen. So don't get frustrated and don't keep harassing them. Just follow up with them every once in a while, and I mean, they'll take care of you.
And if anybody has any questions for me, I'm also willing to give you Mike's card.
Let's give these guys a hand.